Shit moms won't say.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Shit Moms Won't Say. If you don't know my guest tonight, you probably don't have social media. With just over 500,000 followers. Can I say it any clearer? 500,000 plus followers. This powerhouse is really one of the most authentic voices of mom culture out there right now. You've probably seen her on BuzzFeed, HuffPost, The Today Show, Parent.com. She's a content creator for Scary Mommy, and she is the realest housewife of New Jersey that I know. Mom of one, Modern Mom Profs, Tara Clark. Welcome, my friend. What do you think? Pretty good, right? I didn't flub.
Jess, that intro. First of all, I have goosebumps. Second of all, marry me. Oh my gosh.
I am married, but I'm negotiable.
Sister wives.
Yeah, we'll marry into one family. It'd be nice. We're like bridge and tunnel friends anyway.
That's true.
You're right here. You're in New Jersey. I'm in New York. We could pull it off. We don't even have to be that close.
We totally could.
I love it. I'm glad.
Thank you so much for that intro. I'm so thrilled to be here.
Oh, I'm so happy to have you. Thank you. I love everything you put out on the internet. You're such a joy to watch. And you and I were just talking about this before we hit record, that you've really kind of shifted where you've gone with your content. And you used to be more self-deprecating, and I think you referred to it as gallows humor. And now it's really more of that empowerment piece. And it's such a fine line between the two. And I think you just walk it so well. So I'm so excited to have you here.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I am excited to have you on my computer.
I'm excited to be in your computer.
I'm also happy because the first time we connected, and I think people will appreciate this story because of Zoom culture these days, we tried to Zoom. What did we end up on? We ended up on a WebEx and Microsoft Teams and Google Docs and
Google Meet. So I think your audio was on Google Meet and your video was on Zoom. And so I had one box open for your audio and then the other box open for your video, and it kind of just went together. And so we had a proper conversation that way.
And I had your video on Google Meet and your audio on whatever the other thing was. So, here we are weeks later, engaged to be married. It's unbelievable. It's so insane how it progressed. Listen, before so quickly. Well, that's how lesbians do it. We just sort of move in and then you figure it out after. It either works or it doesn't, right? Before we jump into the Big Mom 3, I have to ask, because again, if you watch the show, I love the housewives. I do. I am not quiet about it. I think it is some of the best television out there. You were sort of courted to be a Jersey housewife, right?
I probably shouldn't be saying this, but they're not going to call me back, so I'm going to say
no. And no one watches the show anyway, so don't worry about it.
So it's totally fine until you have Ramona on tomorrow or something like that.
She's not welcome on my show. You hear that, Ramona? You're not welcome on my show. Elise Lane was on my show. You're not welcome on my show.
So yes, I had received a call. This is actually last fall, or maybe it was last winter. I received a call from their casting director, and we spoke probably for an hour, and I went through the details of my life and my social media accounts and what I do and this and that. And he was like, okay, that's all great. And, I'll pass your information on to my boss, who was, I guess, the head casting director. And then I never heard back from them. And then that was it. But there was a chance that I could have been hanging out with Teresa and all those guys.
Would you have flipped a table for her?
Probably. I am of Italian descent. And so, it probably could have gotten fiery.
I love it. How did this scene? I love it. I love it. We'll stop there on that. But that warmed my heart when you told me. Maybe someday. I don't know. Maybe someday you'll have your own show.
How could you imagine? No,
yes.
There was a 2-week period where I thought maybe they were going to call me back, and I was like, oh my God, do I want to do this? Is this something I would pursue? And my husband and I were talking about it because we thought, and I thought that's a life altering thing. That's a big decision. That's not just I'm going to start a social media account or I'm going to do a blog or whatever. like, that's big shit. Right. And so like,
Yeah.
we were like, oh, like, what do you think? And this and that. And he was like, I don't think you should do it, but like, if you really want to, then you could, but like, I don't know if that's really who you are, and like, blah, blah, blah. And so there was like this whole big discussion for 2 weeks, and then like, it just like disappeared. And so it didn't matter. So it never mattered anyway.
Well, I feel like with like this mommy, like internet culture, even if you become scary mommy, right? Which you will, even if you become scared, we'll both will, it'll be so fun. Even if you do, I still feel like you have your life. Like you have your real life, and then you have your like internet life. Like there's a division. When you become a housewife or like any type of TV, there's no division, and your kid's involved and your family's involved, and it totally like divulges from your regular life.
Yes, you're 100% right on that, because the thing is, like, I'm very specific on what I do post and don't post about my personal life. Like I never post about my husband. Sometimes I'll post about my son. Like it's sort of, I pick and choose. Like I don't want it to be all me all the time, because what I've always felt right from day one is that Modern Mom Probs is not about me as Tara Clark. It's about all the other moms out there. And so that's why the account was sort of like anonymous for like 2 or 3 years or so, until then I sort of like peeled back the curtain and I was like, oh, hey, it's me, I'm Tara.
Don't forget.
Hey, but before that, it wasn't about me. I feel like it's about everyone else. And I still feel like it's about everyone else. But a lot of people said to me like, well, Tara, like if you want to write a book, then you have to kind of like, be a person and different things like that. And so here I am, I'm a person. But that's why they said you needed to put like a name with the face of, a name of the account with the face and stuff like that. So that was the thing, but I never thought it was about me. And I still don't think it's about me. It's not about me. It's about you guys.
That's why people like you. And we will talk about your book in a little bit, because it's very, very cool. Let's jump into the big mom 3, and then we'll kind of hit on some other things. So
let's dive in.
Let's do it. Dive head first. First question of the big mom 3. Did you always know you wanted to be a mom?
Yes. I am an only child, and I have an only child, and I love it. I loved it so much that I was like, yeah, I'll have an only child and be fine. So I used to babysit a lot when I was a teenager, like a ton, like I was practically like a nanny. And although babysitting is totally different from being a mom, like, you go home at 10 o'clock and like you have like a wad full of cash and you sleep in your own bed and no one's waking you up or anything like that. It's a very different world, but like I was always very much of like a caregiver. And so there was a time where, like I said, where I was a nanny, where I probably saw the kids more than their own parents. So yeah, I knew that I would be a mom. I just didn't know, how many kids that I'd have. Like maybe I thought that I would have had maybe 2, but I'm happy with my one, and he's wonderful.
I love it. And your son Jack is 8.
Yes, he'll be 8 in a couple weeks.
Well, at least like that's still to me like a baby age. Like it's still very sweet. You have a couple more years of sweet, and then he'll turn into a boy, and then he'll come back around to like loving his mom, right? We hope.
It's true. He and I are very close, and we're like incredibly close. So I feel like he's the kind of like type that he and I will maintain our relationship.
I love that. That's so cool. Okay, second question of the big mom 3. What is the shittiest or most backhanded piece of advice you've ever gotten from another mother or parent?
That's a good one. I had to think about the answer for this, because like there's really so many things that could kind of like rush in your mind at the time. But I'll give you one story.
Okay.
Like 2 summers ago, we were at Sesame Place, which is like a water park. I don't know if you've been there. It's like outside of Philadelphia. And I was in a bikini top and shorts with my son, and we were like in the splash pad part, whatever. A woman came up to me and was like, oh my God, your stomach looks so amazing. Like, I can't believe you had a baby. And I was like, oh, thanks. And then like she walked away, and like, it was a moment that made me like stop and think, because for a couple of reasons. One, that was very kind of her to compliment me. I wish now I even had that stomach that I did 2 years ago. I don't know. I told you before, I hit 40, and I'm not sure if it was the pandemic 40, but like shit went downhill real fast. But going back to the Sesame Place, it made me think, because here was a woman who was trying to pay a compliment, and she was being very kind in her intention. But what if that wasn't my child? What if he was adopted? What if I was his aunt? What if, there's so many different scenarios that could be the reason why my body looked the way it did with him. And, or, what if we were a couple and I wasn't the mom that bore him, right? Like I didn't give him right? Exactly. So like, there's so many different scenarios that could have been the case for her to compliment. So it made me think about, you should never, even if you have the best of intentions, you really shouldn't jump out there and say something to somebody that could otherwise hurt them indirectly. So my point is be careful what you say to people, whether it's in person, whether it's at Sesame Place, whether it's online, because you never really know all the different parts of a story. Like, yes, I did bear him. I carried him. He was a C-section. I had him that way, whatever. But like, there could have been so many different scenarios that wasn't the
Totally.
scenario, right? That wasn't the case. So my advice there is to always like think before you speak or think before you type, because you just never know somebody's full story.
That's so true. And that being said though, so I am the non-carrying parent, but if anybody would like to compliment me on my stomach, I'm okay with it. I'm just putting it out there. If anybody wants to come up to me and be like, you look fucking slamming, I'm fine with it. And I'll be like, thank you. I didn't carry my kid. Actually, what was funny is after like the baby was born, the baby, Lily, my child, we say her name, she's a person, Lily, my wife, in a similar fashion, like just bounce back. It's sort of her natural shape. She's very thin. She's in great shape. She's super hot. Love you. And just like bounce back right away. But some people would be like, so which one of you carried? And I was like, fuck you, like not me. Like, what are you talking about? My wife was like, no, like, let me take the compliment, jackass. So like, you're right though. The full story of anybody's life is never out there. You could know somebody for 100 years, give or take, right?
Give or take.
And there's still pieces of their story you might not find out. So that's a good, it was a nice compliment, but there's so much more to it.
Right. Absolutely. Like at the time I was like, wow, that was really kind of her. And then like my mind just started thinking like all these thoughts as here I am in the splash pad, right? And I'm watching my kid so he doesn't drown in the water, and my mind's going off on all these things. And so now that I'm so attuned to mom culture, and even at that time, I'm pretty sure I probably had the account. It was like in the early stages of the account because my son was still young, but like, I was still in tune to that kind of stuff. So like my brain starts thinking about all of those thoughts.
You also like think about intention, right? So like I grew up in a Jewish household, Jewish. I wouldn't say like Jewish, but like there's this thing that my grandma, who's a cool lady, Holocaust survivor, that's her handwriting. It's an L for Lily. These are her fat rolls right here. So hello, thank you. But so you would do is it's like this. It's like the Italian evil eye, and it's called a foggin. So like somebody's coming up and complimenting you, you don't know their intentions. So there's a whole other piece to that, right? In addition to being like, you don't know my story, you don't know if it's my kid, all of those things. A compliment, it's hard because you want to be able to take a compliment from somebody, but you always sort of wonder where it's coming from. So in our family, we just sort of sit there like this to ward off evil spirits from telling us things that are too nice about ourselves that aren't coming from the right place. So
I like that. I'm going to do that next time I go to Sesame Place, which is not going to be for a long time, but
for a long time. Yeah.
But for next time I do, really.
Yes. Yeah. Take that psychosis and live with it. Okay. So third question of the Big Mom 3. What is a skill or like a superpower you had before becoming a mom that you think has really helped you as a mom?
Good question. I am very organized. And as I mentioned before we started taping, before my son was born, I was an executive assistant for a high-powered executive at Nickelodeon. That was before I went into like the social media department. But anyway, I am very good with logistics. Like my mind works like logistically like that. And so that really helped being a mom, and it helps being organized. It helps, like I said, thinking about like operationally on things. And so I'm just one big executive assistant for my 8-year-old son.
You know what? Everyone deserves one. That's a pretty common theme on here. That's like a pretty common answer to moms who are like in this mom space or, telling stories of their success is the organization. Like if I were to turn my camera, and I've said this a few times, like people would be like, she has a problem. Like her desk is too organized. She should loosen up. But that's how you get shit done. So that's totally get it. Great skill. Keep up the great work, executive assistant. Good for you. Good for you. So you mentioned that you used to work for Nickelodeon, and it's so cool because you worked for like the Nick Jr. space and the Nick at Night space. And my question isn't so much about what you did there, because I know you really managed their social media account, but it's how it's impacted what you do now. So you have this goal of really like connecting women and empowering women, sometimes in a funny way, sometimes in a not so funny way, but always in like a very honest way. So as somebody who dealt in the social media space for so long, is there any advice you can give? And this, we're asking for advice, so you're allowed to give it. Is there any advice you can give to moms to find other like-minded moms? So for example, I'm not for everybody. If you're looking for a funny show with some, weirdo lesbian from Long Island who loves to curse and interview other moms, I'm your gal. And if she can't stop talking about RBG and all that shit. But if you're looking for more of like, I don't know, even like more natural culture, or you like the Instagram mommy type of like, what's your best recommendation to women to find other like-minded women?
It's something to think about, because I'm still trying to do that. No, I'm just joking. But
and cut. Great.
No, I'm totally kidding. 500,000 people later. No, I'm just kidding. Instagram really, really helped for that. I always like to say that I started my account for a couple of reasons, but I started it back in February of 2016 because I was bored and I was sort of like looking for a hobby to do when I was home with my son, and he had just turned like 3 at the time, and motherhood can be pretty lonely. Mm-hmm. And I found, even living in New York City, the greatest city in the world, it was lonely. And so I started the account and I started making friends with people all over the world, Vancouver and the Netherlands and, Texas and all over. And all of a sudden, like, we all sort of found each other, and we became really good friends. And then we started, chatting like on the chats, like group chats and stuff like that. And so my advice is follow the accounts who make you feel good about yourself, who make you laugh, who make you feel confident, who make you feel whole. And then start hanging out with those people online, and unfollow people that, make you feel inferior, or that you don't feel like you jive with and stuff like that. And like, that's okay too, And so my recommendation is like, you'll find your people, and that happens. Like, it may take a while, and sometimes like, you go, oh man, I wish that they lived right around the corner so that they could like watch my kid for me. But that's not always the case, Some of my best friends live, like I said, all over the world, in Arizona and Kansas City and stuff like that. And so it's just a matter of like finding the accounts that truly speak to your heart, that really speak to you, and just being friends with them. And being friends with the Jewish girl from Long Island.
Right. Listen, I think I'm everyone's cup of tea. I'm a nice person. I'll talk to you. If you're lonely out there, I'll talk to you. Why not? If nothing else, I'll give you a good laugh, and you could be like, I spoke to this total weirdo today. It's good advice though, because I think that women are very afraid on social media. And that's something like with my show that I've tried to normalize quite a bit. Like, don't be afraid to talk to other women. Don't be afraid to reach out. Like, everybody is, sort of like we were saying, you don't really know anybody's full story. Everybody's sort of fighting their own battle in motherhood and whatever it may be. So even if it's, this Instagram mommy who looks beautiful and has 50 kids and is blonde and, gorgeous and all those things, you don't know what shit she has going on. And if you want to know what shit she has going on, I bet if you ask, she'll probably tell you. Yeah. It's a very inclusive culture. But that's something I've been hearing a lot, is that women are very afraid to speak to other women, which sucks. It
totally sucks. No, it doesn't. And you know what the problem is on social media, there's so much like, don't do mom shaming. Don't do mom shaming. Like, like, stop the mom shaming. But then at the same time, people are then making fun of like the pretty blondes with the 7 kids and stuff like that. And like, that's not my life, but I respect them and like, good on them. And like, I'm not hating on anything like that. And I wouldn't want anyone else to, because like you said, like, you don't know their lives, like you don't know their struggles and their day to day. And so it's just, just as we say about, we talk about like tolerance and acceptance for everyone, like it should be the same thing on social media. It's like, you don't know their whole story. And so we should accept their lives for, as long as they're not hurting anyone and that they're not, making anyone else upset intentionally. That goes back to intentions, right? As long as like they're not hurting anyone, then I think it should be okay.
Well, and if they are, then we can just like cancel them forever.
Then they're dead to us. I mean, that's the thing, it's so hard. And like, I've been on social media now for like such a long time. And like, so I've really seen like just a lot of stuff. Like I've been on Instagram nearly 5 years. It'll be 5 years in February. And like, that's a long time, like from what like memes looked like back then to like how we were doing them and like how you worded them. And then like different things came along, and now like videos are so huge, and like no one was doing videos years ago. Now like videos are like, because of TikTok and Reels, like that's like everything that it is. And so like you're constantly trying to like keep up with what people are doing, and like the market, like there's just so many people doing it now, and that was different years ago. And so it's really interesting.
But with so many people doing it, it's easier to find your people, I think.
I think so.
Maybe easier and harder, but at least there's more options. So
there's definitely more options, because there's so many people out there that you go, oh, she's funny, I like her, she's my girl, whatever. And so I agree. But it's funny because like as we're talking about that, it's like, because I don't show a lot of myself, like my true self, like online, that people would be like, I'm not gonna hang out with Tara, but like but my friends that like really know me, like we're super close, and like I'm fun.
Listen, I like hanging out with you. I think you're fun as hell. I don't know what's wrong with everyone else. You want to hang out with Tara, reach out to Tara. She has nothing else going on, and she will hang out with you.
I will drop what I'm doing and hang out with you.
Speaking of the nothing else you have going on, I wish I could roll my eyes like as far back in my head as so many people can on the planet, but I'll just give you sort of a like all of the stuff you have going on. You're amazing at what you're doing. And I know you had said to me, you're like, what people don't realize is I'm just some chick sitting in front of my computer in my leggings. But you have a bunch of stuff going on. So you have, in addition to 500,000 plus followers on Instagram, who they really hang on your every word, and it's amazing. And you're so deserving of it. You have so many other things you do. So you create wonderful content for Scary Mommy. You now have a really cool Etsy shop, which is called Modern Mom Things. So people can buy cool stuff through you. That's like mom empowerment and mom funny, right? You have your own show, which is called Modern Mom Talk. Mm-hmm. So good. And you have a book coming out that people can pre-order, because it's not here yet, but people are so excited about it that they have to pre-order it. Like, you're that legit that you're like, listen, if you want to read my book, I get it now. I get it right now.
Probably go to Amazon this very second.
Right now. We'll wait. Good. Did you hear all of it? Was it like ka-ching, ka-ching? Really though, like that's so cool. So talk to me about your book a little bit. And again, follow her Etsy shop, go listen to her show, follow her on social media. But the book is the big thing that's happening right now. So talk to me a little bit about it.
I'm seriously going to marry you, Jess. Like, you know that, right?
I can't wait. Listen, I can't wait. Change is inevitable. So let's just do it.
Please apologize to your wife. Please apologize to her now. I'm sorry.
My wife would love you. Are you kidding? She'd be like, that's fine. Have Tara over. She's wonderful.
I do laundry. I do laundry all day. I clean and cook all day. I don't really cook all day. I cook like when I have to. I cook when it's 5 o'clock and I'm like, I have to cook. Happens every day. Like, I don't know why I don't realize that, but it happens every day. Like the clock hits 5 and I'm like, oh, dinner again?
And by the way, thank you for silently mouthing the word fuck. That was really, you've seen the title of my show, right? So again, though, I respect it. So listen, weirder things have happened. Maybe you'll be cooking and cleaning for me in no time. We're not sure. But talk to me about your book. Because, if you're going to make all this money off of your book, maybe we will get married. I don't know.
You don't know. Come to New Jersey. It's lovely. We could be housewives together. I mean, like the New Jersey housewives.
Long Island housewives.
Jackie, I'll get Dolores. We'll get everybody together. They just live right down the road from me. I mean, like literally right down the road.
I'm Caroline Manzo, tried and true.
Are you good? We got we had our engagement party at the Brownstone, which is like the place where they're
Of course.
Well,
of course, you're New Jersey. Anyway, your book sounds incredible.
So the book is called Modern Mom Probs, a 21st century, it's a survival guide for 21st century moms. That's what it is. And it has 99 problems, but motherhood ain't one. So I walk you through the 99 problems, and it ranges everything from meal problems to sleep problems to relationship problems to allyship to the mental load of motherhood to work-life balance, which I always talk about. Like my big talking point there is about crushing that, about that concept about balance, because it's really about effectiveness. You have to be effective in different parts of your life.
And I always hate the term work-life balance, because at the end of the day, it's really just life, and there shouldn't be this like goal of equilibrium between the two, because it doesn't make sense.
Absolutely. That's my whole platform. So now you don't need to read the book.
Well, good. You heard me talk. Don't buy Tara's book. There you go. Done.
No, but so that's what I talk about. You're never going to reach balance. There's no such thing as reaching balance. You just have to be effective as a partner. You have to be effective as a mother. You have to be effective as an employee or a business owner or whatever it is that you're doing. And so that's what I talk a little bit in the book. And so, yes, some of the problems are very funny and they're like just meant to be funny. And then some of them are more serious. And so it sort of like comes and goes. Like it's not all jokes and it's not all serious. It's just like I said, it kind of like flows between the 99. And it's probably like 200 pages or so. Like I can't believe it's as long as it is. Like not in a bad way, but like I can't believe I wrote like a 200-page book.
That's awesome. How long did it take you to write?
So funny story. I got the book deal in like April, like right as the pandemic hit. So my literary agent was shopping it around to different publishers, and the publishers were all like, well, there's this pandemic and the stores are closed and we don't really know. And so finally, this one publisher, Post Hill Press, said, yes, we would love it. We think it's a great idea. And so we signed the contract in April. I had 6 weeks to write it. It was due mid-August. And so I spent the entire summer writing the book.
And like, what good timing, because there was nothing else going on this summer. So you could just kind of type away.
Yeah, that's what it is.
I think it's great. And I will certainly read it when it's finally released, if I can get my hands on it. I don't even know. I have to pre-order. It's unreal.
Pre-order Amazon now. But you know what's fun about it too? It's like, I have a lot of like pseudoscience, like graphics, like charts and pie graphs and Venn diagrams and that kind of stuff. And there's like some games and like there's the one chapter is about intimacy with your partner. And I have this like secret code. And if you figure out the secret code, it says, stop doing puzzles and go have sex.
Well, so I need to like blow up your spot, but now everybody's just figured out the code.
Womp womp.
Go have sex.
Go have sex.
Go.
But I said welcome. That was the key to the intimacy one.
Figured you out.
There you go.
So talk to me about this though. So you have an almost 8-year-old son. Mm-hmm. Is he aware of like the Tara Clark Modern Mom Probs fame? And like, does he think it's cool, or is he like, she's just my mom?
It's funny. He does think it's cool. He does understand. Was it last year? Maybe 2 years ago, I was featured in a local magazine, in a local newspaper. And so like all of like that's when like the moms in the town sort of started finding out, or like his classmates' moms started finding out, because like they received the paper or they received the magazine and they were like, oh my God, what? And so then like, I was like, oh yeah, that's what I do. Ha ha ha. And that's actually how the Real Housewives casting director had called me, was through that publication.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that's how he found me. And And so, yeah, no, Jack knows. He thinks it's cool. Like sometimes he'll be like, "Oh, post this in a story, or post this online." Sometimes he gets annoyed because, truth be told, like I'm on my phone a lot, and I don't need to be, and I have to be really conscious about that, or try to do it not in front of him in a different room or something. And so, unfortunately, that's really hard. And even during the pandemic, he was like home all summer, and I was writing the book, and I was like, here's another snack, or like, here's another episode of whatever you were watching. And so that's kind of shitty sometimes, but I think that's true for any working parent.
Yeah.
So that's just sort of the reality that we're in right now. But no, he does. He thinks it's really cool. He also wants to like make videos. He's actually super funny. And like, if I featured him more, I think people would really appreciate it. Cause like, he actually is, like he'll come up with these things that are like brilliant. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like whether it's like video concepts, or he'll do a joke and then he'll be like 5 minutes later, 30 minutes later. Like he just does these things. It's like really funny. I'm like, good on you, man.
Good for you. You should just steal his content. He won't know.
I should. I
He's
really
only
should.
8.
I know. And he's actually really cute too. So I probably should start putting him in it more. I don't. We'll see. Stay tuned for that one. I have to think about that.
I put my daughter at the end of every episode because she's so cute. She's also just nuts. Like she's a total nut job. So like, you're right. Like I work from home because everybody pretty much works from home right now. But like, as the show's getting bigger and bigger, you're on your phone a lot. So like, I just sort of hand her like various things on my desk. Like here, hold this, chew on this. So again, it's that balance that it doesn't really exist.
Yes. You just have to be effective at certain things at certain times when you go, oh, it's 5 o'clock and I realize people have to eat dinner, like that kind of stuff.
And you mouth and you got to get your dinner.
Yeah. That's it every day. I don't know why I can't learn. I don't know why I can't learn.
It's a mental block you have. As long as your kid's healthy and eats, no one gives a shit.
I didn't tell you he ate. He doesn't eat anything. I didn't say anything about that. He
attempt to feed your kid at some point during the day. No judgment here. That's the only time I ever judge. So like if somebody's welfare is at stake. Otherwise, I don't care.
That is true. No, he eats. Let me put it this way. I prepare several meals during the day. He is a very selective eater. So whether or not he consumes all of those meals is a different story altogether.
Well, you're trying. Good for you.
I do. Trying. They're there. They're on the plate. I'm trying to get him to eat. He just doesn't want to.
He will. He's a boy. Eventually, he's just going to eat everything.
That's what I like to think too. He's okay.
If not, he'll be, chicken finger French fry for the rest of his life. So lots of my guy friends. That's what they eat, and they're
still.
Yeah, these are like 30-something-year-old men, and I'm like, what do you guys want for dinner? And they're like, I don't know, like pizza. Grow up. Oh my God. Like I finally just got my best friend, who I hate when I mention him on the show because he's so conceited that he puts pictures of himself all over my house, including a full framed headshot that I found in my desk not all that long ago. So I hate mentioning him, but I will mention this one thing. He's an adult. He's just allowing me to introduce him to foods outside of his comfort zone. So your kid will eat at some point, but he may very well be a full-grown adult man who's like, ew, what do you mean? Why would you eat that? Like, so, but he'll eat.
That's good to know, though. That actually makes me feel a little bit better.
Yeah. And he functions.
Yeah. As long as, like you said, like, as long as they get the nutrition and the calories and that they're growing and they're still on the curve and stuff like that, it's okay.
Oh, those curves. All right, let's start to wrap up, my friend. It is so nice to have you here. I have 2 final questions for you. So you have an almost 8-year-old. So this question varies depending on like the age of your child. I had a grandma on the other day, and her answer was like so different than everyone else's, right? So what is something, be it a product, a something that you feel like you really can't live without as a mom?
This is the easiest question that anyone has ever asked me in the history of my life.
Of all questions of all time?
Ever.
Terrific.
Several years ago, someone gave us a coffee maker. And this coffee maker is the coffee maker of your dreams. It's called a Yura. It's a soft J-U-R-A.
I have to write it down because I'll never remember it. J-U-R-A. Okay.
J-U-R-A. Yeah, it's like a soft J. It is my favorite thing in my house, that if God forbid this house burned down, I would grab two things. I would grab Jack under one arm and the Yura under the other arm and run out the house.
And I'm sure your husband feels really good about that.
Well, he has legs. He could walk. He has to get the two cats.
That's fair. He has a job. Okay, Yura. I will look into it.
Oh, you have no idea, Jess. It is like my favorite, like to the point where really, I don't know, Yura people call me because I'm your biggest advocate. I have friends buying Yuras all the time because I talk about how much I love this machine. And like I said, it was a gift for us. I didn't even buy it. It was a thank you gift.
My Keurig is like on the fritz, so maybe it's time to hit it.
It's so amazing that it grinds each cup of coffee for you from whole beans, right? And like you have to clean it out. I don't know. It tells you actually like every once a month or once a quarter or whatever it is, like you need to put like tablets in it and stuff like that. Each cup of coffee is divine. It's amazing.
Okay. I love coffee. I'm ready. I'm going to do it.
But I do have to preface, like, it is an investment. So it's not something that like everybody could be like, oh yeah, I'm going to go get one of these. It was a gift that we received. It was the nicest gift that anyone's ever given to me. And that's my favorite thing.
I love that. Okay. Well, we'll see if I'm willing to make the investment. I love coffee so much that I probably am.
You should get a friend who would gift it to you, like how we had a friend that gifted it to us.
I think I could find a friend. My birthday's coming up, so I'm ready. I'm ready for that. Okay, final. Yeah, take a sip because it's a big one. It's a real hard question. Final question. What is something you know now that you wish you knew before becoming a mom?
That question changes based upon how old your kids are, right? So when my son was younger, I sort of alluded to this earlier, is that motherhood is very lonely, or it can be very lonely when you have a newborn, an infant, even a toddler. And so I was not prepared for the loneliness of it. None of my friends had babies when I had a baby. My one, I should say, but like she and I didn't really talk at that time because she was busy taking care of her baby and I took care of my baby. And so I don't know, I just didn't really have a lot of support in that at all. And so that was very lonely. You know, you wait for your partner to come home at the end of the day and there's just like word vomit of like, oh my God, you're a person. So like, what'd you do? How was it? Blah, blah, blah. How was that? How was your walk home? Blah, blah, because we lived in the city. So we walked home from work. Like, how was this? Blah, blah, blah. And so, you know, you're talking like a million miles an hour because you're like seeing somebody and you're talking to someone. Like, even though we lived in the city and like you see thousands of people in the course of a day, you're not talking to all of those people. You might not be talking to any of those people. So I was not prepared for the loneliness of being a new mom. And then as my son got older, he suffered from like really bad tantrums from like 18 months to like 2.5. So we're like, I would venture to say that may have played a part into why we only have one kid, because
interesting.
Those tantrums were like really something. Like I could not even have like even thought about having another kid during that time, because that time was like such a struggle for like 2 years or like 1.5 years. So like I wouldn't even have like thought to entertain anything like that. So the tantrums, you know, and again, that's kid by kid. Not every kid is like,
sure,
right? Like some kids are like a total dream and don't have any of those issues, but like that was a struggle for us. And then I'm trying to think, like, as they get older, I think it gets easier in a different way because they don't need you for every single thing, obviously, like they do when they're a toddler or they're a newborn and stuff like that. And so sometimes I'm like, what am I gonna do with myself now? He's like at a play date or like, you know, I don't know, playing Roblox or Minecraft or something like that. And I'm like, I have a couple minutes to myself. Yes. And so like, then like you have to kind of like relish in like, okay, I have a couple. What am I going to do? Am I going to work out? Do I want to work out? Do I want to get sweaty? I don't know. Am I really in the mood to get sweaty right now? Probably not.
I don't know.
Yeah, right. I washed my hair today. I'm not really in the mood to. So like, those are like the different kind of like stages that you don't know before you have kids.
I love it. Awesome. Well, let's let everyone know, where can they find you if they don't already follow you? Where's the best place to find the one and only Modern Mom Probs?
Instagram. I'm always on Instagram. So on Instagram at Modern Mom Probs, and the book's coming out for Mother's Day 2021. It's actually coming out in April. Yeah, it's coming out like a few weeks before Mother's Day. So you could buy it for your friends for Mother's Day, buy it for yourself, buy it for your own mom. And yeah, I'm working on a new website. So that's kind of exciting. So I'm putting the pieces together for the website. And yeah, like you mentioned, there's the Modern Mom Talk, which I would love to have you on one day. If you could find some time in your schedule, because I know you're busy.
I'm in. You let me know when. I'm in.
Awesome.
I'd love it.
Let's do it. And so, yeah, so that's where I am. Mostly just hanging out on Instagram. Come say hi. Hang out with me.
Talk to Tara. She'll hang out with you.
I will. I told you. I'm just sitting there. I'm just sitting there in my, actually, you know, I used to wear leggings every day, but I kind of got bored of wearing leggings. I wear these jogger pants from Target every day. I have 3 different.
I love jogger pants.
Love them. I'm wearing them right now. I have 3 different pairs, and like I kind of like rotate them through the week. Like, so then like one day I'll wear leggings, but like I'm all about jogger pants now.
I love it. I am wearing straight up pajama pants right now, and I have no shame in telling you that. Like, I have my fun t-shirt on, and then if I were to go like this, straight up PJ pants.
Straight up. I'll show you mine. Oh, look at, oh, there you go.
There you go.
I didn't realize the angle at which my camera is. It's like straight up.
In addition to an incredible Instagram, Tara is very bendy.
Flexible.
Follow her for no other reason than that. Really, please, please, please feel free to reach out to me. Reach out to Tara if you are struggling in any way, because the mom community is a great community. And thank you for watching Shit Moms Won't Say. We have so many great things coming up, and we appreciate you joining us for the ride. Have a great night.
Shit Moms Won't Say!